What's up, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of The Sit Down. As always, if you enjoy this live video, please make sure you hit that like button and let me know what you think of today's discussion in the comments section below. If you're watching us live currently on YouTube, what's up? Welcome in. Please say hello in the chat box to the right of the show. If you have a question for our guest, please make sure you drop it in the live chat. If you're new around here, you just haven't done it yet. We're living on a rock and seeing this video for the first time. I don't know what you're waiting for. Hit that subscribe button below now so never miss another sit down video. Also, make sure you check out my most recent video on the Giannini crew, available now on my channel. I have went through several independent videos about the Giannini crew, and I did a video yesterday kind of discussing their haunts as kind of a group. So make sure you check that out. I talked about Baldo Amato in it. I talked about Ace Aiello and Paul Ragusa and Frank Fiordolino and all these different folks. So make sure you check it out. It's something I really enjoy talking about. So make sure you check out that video tonight. I hope everybody's having a very good weekend out there. It's Sunday night, and I wanted to bring on a guy we've had on the channel before. We interviewed Howie over a year ago. And it was a super successful interview. It's one of my, I think, better ones. It's always cool when we can bring on people that very few people have heard from, and Howie is no exception to that. So I figured I'd want to bring him on for more of a live role tonight, maybe take some of your questions. So again, if you have them, please drop them in the chat right now. I'm going to try to get to all of them. We'll just have some discussions, about Howie's life, his involvement in the mob and being connected to the mob, and kind of how he feels about this genre today. I see Howie's down in the bottom. I'm not going to bring him on. I know he wants to remain behind the avatar, which if you know Howie, he does that on a pretty regular basis. If anybody wants to support our channel, we would greatly appreciate. Please hit that super chat icon. You can find it in the chat box. It is a little $sign. So please make sure you do that. Without further ado, let's bring on our guest. What's up, Howie?
Jeff, you threw me a curveball. I don't know how to work this StreamYard here.
Really?
Usually I go on from YouTube, and this thing got me all confused over here. It's a whole different layout.
I'll tell you what, if you want to jump out, I can drop the link in the chat.
Yeah, do that.
Okay, I'll kick you out and drop it in the chat. All right, this link is for Howie only, so I'm not going to be bringing on any guests, just for Howie. I actually never realized that. I don't think he's ever joined that way, except when I emailed him. So there's the link. We'll get Howie on in just a second. I hope all of you are having a good weekend. It's kind of the first weekend of summer, right? First weekend after Labor Day. So that's good. I want to shout out some folks as we wait here for Howie. A lot of people in the chat already. Isaac FDZ. I've interviewed him already. I dropped the link in the chat for that interview. Michelle, how are you, love? Good to see you. Hope you're well. Michael, what's going on? Scott Dunn, how are you? Georgie boy. Yes, I agree. Thank you for watching Forza Napoli. Thank you so much. All right, let's bring him in. Hey, Howie, what's up?
What's up, buddy? That's better now. I was like, what the hell is this stuff?
That's weird. I wonder why it would be any different. That's so odd. Just due to the fact that it's the same link. And nonetheless, you're here. We haven't spoke to you in a long time. I interviewed you about a year ago. It was one of our more successful interviews we've had. How's everything for you? How you been?
Everything's good. Just living a normal life. That's all I wanted.
That's all you ever wanted, right? I think that's what everybody wants, right? Brooklyn, I gotta say, Brooklyn, she has to be the most attractive commenter, right, Howie? I mean, surely.
I've never seen her.
Well, there she is in her photo on her avatar. Shout out to Brooklyn. I always appreciate you in here, love. Thank you so much. Danny Green, shout out to you. Shout out to everybody in the chat. So for anyone that doesn't know, Howie, you're a guy who you came up in New York City. You're not Italian, right? You're Puerto Rican,
right?
you're a guy who, people I think kind of think of it and say, well, Puerto Rican, how is he in associated with the mob? But you weren't a made guy, you were an associate. But as I think anybody that knows your story, I mean, if you were Italian, you probably would have been made, right?
Well, I got told to my face that I would have been made. One day I was at a restaurant waiting with JoJo, waiting for a guy by the name of Jamesy. He's not alive anymore. And when we were sitting at the table, he told me, he said, I wish I could straighten you out. So I just commented with a joke, yeah, when are they going to change the rules? As a joke. But, why would he say that to me?
And you're talking about JoJo Corozzo said that?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think,
I've said it before.
Yeah, no, I remember you telling me that on my show. But you were a guy who you were around, you were doing a lot of things, you were moving around in the streets, you had JoJo Corozzo's ear. And look, JoJo Corozzo was a high-end man in the Gambino crime family, very high up. It drove John Gotti at one point. We always saw him in all the videos. So tonight, it's kind of be a different type of show. It's not necessarily an interview. We've talked to you before, but I kind of wanted to get people to kind of have the opportunity to drop some questions. I mean, you were around a lot of very interesting people. First one, Howie, you never were at the Ravenite, were you?
No.
Yeah, this guy's asking who is the best cook in the Ravenite. I mean, I can answer that. I mean, I know Skinny Dom was a great cook as far as I've heard. But yeah, I didn't think Howie was ever in the Ravenite.
Well, in our club, it was a guy by the name of Maxie who made the best pasta and peas. And then there was Frankie Pigeon who made the best pork chops with roasted cherry peppers. And then there was Mikey Monk who made the best meatballs.
So there were a few different people that cooked.
Yeah, there was a lot of guys that cooked. It all depended on who was in the mood.
Now, in terms of like cooking, was that every day they were doing that?
Every Sunday for sure. We always had meatballs in the morning. On Sundays, we'd get a bunch of loaf of bread from Sapienza's, really good bread. And, whoever felt like cooking that day out of the cooks would fry some meatballs, and we'd just eat it like that. Throw the meatball on the Italian bread and eat it just like that. No sauce or anything.
I'll tell you what, I had a meatball sandwich tonight, actually. Very underrated food. I think a meatball is a perfect food. I could eat it every day.
Yeah, I mean, because Sundays, see, we had a card game 7 days a week over there. So Monday through Friday was in the evening. And then on Saturdays, we had an afternoon game. And that was usually like the day that a lot of people came around to see Joe if they needed to talk to him. And then Sunday mornings, a lot of people hung over. Maybe some people drinking Bloody Marys, once in a while mimosas. And, we cooked the meatballs and just, eat them on a loaf of timer because everyone is going home in a little while to be with their families. Everybody went home with their families.
So it was like an early lunch or something along the lines.
Huh?
It was like a lunch type of thing, and then you'd go home and be around your family. That makes sense.
Yeah, it wasn't like, to fill you up, just to have a snack. You wake up hungry, right? Usually when you go out the day before.
Absolutely.
So everyone just, come over and eat meatballs.
What year did JoJo make that comment about you?
2001, 2002, around that time.
So that was around the time when like Peter Gotti was in control?
Yeah, I believe so. He had just gotten, from like 1995, 96, I stayed by Bobby Venace's cafe because JoJo had to go do a federal bid. I believe it was 36 months. But then when he got out, he still had the 3-year supervised release. And I was one of the guys on the list of people that he couldn't see. we snuck a few times. I actually picked him up from the halfway house a few times. I took him to. It was funny because he made me take him to Bergdorf and Goodman to buy sheets for the halfway house.
Oh,
If,
really?
yeah, if you're familiar with Bergdorf and Goodman, it's a pretty expensive place. I mean, they got sweaters there for like $3,000 to $5,000.
And he wanted those nice sheets for his bed there. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
What this is actually a pretty good question. What was your day-to-day life like when you were in that life? Like, what were
All
you
right,
doing?
let me finish what I was starting to say. So anyway, basically like around 2001, 2002, I'm not 100% sure. He finished with his paper. So as soon as he finished with his paper, he sent a word for me to go by the club. I went by the club, and then I started driving him around again. And on one of those mornings when we went to see Jamesy in Long Island is when, we were just sitting at the table waiting, so, making small talk. And that's when he said that. That and $1.50 won't get you on the bus, but he did say it. So go ahead. What were you saying? My day to day?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Before I ask this question about the day-to-day, I'm just gonna kind of roll it in. Are you glad you weren't made? Like let's say they would have said, "Hey, well, we're willing to make you, even though you're Puerto Rican." Were you glad you weren't ever made?
Um, Listen, I'm gonna be totally honest, and I don't give a shit what anybody says. I believe in my heart. Obviously, it didn't happen, so I'm like 99% sure that if I was made, I would have did my time. People don't understand, like when you grow up in that life, all you want to do is to get that ultimate respect, the ultimate respect of a wise guy.
Sure.
Whether there was a long period of time that you would get that same respect even if you weren't a wise guy. But things changed. It wasn't like that anymore. Too many younger, envious kids, growing up. A lot of envy in that world, and just things just totally changed. The fucking gene pool watered down, and I look at it like I can just go to prison and do my time like a man of respect. People, I know a lot of people say wise guys get treated like everyone else in prison, but that's not true. Um, until you're there, you can't say that. Um, and usually the people that do say that are the envious people. Uh, but yeah, they get treated differently.
So you're alluding to the fact that they get treated slightly better, you're saying?
Yeah, people treat them with more respect. Guys are tripping over themselves to hang out with them. As soon as they show up on the compound, you'll have about 10 guys waiting for the new wise guy to show up because to maybe they could win the sit down they just lost with the new wise guy.
Gotcha. Interesting. Yeah, I've heard mixed reviews that, like, in some prisons, wise guys just kind of stick to themselves and they don't have much in the pecking order. But then there are some where they're kind
Well,
of
yeah, it's different behind the wall. Okay, it's different, but but they still get treated with respect. You got to understand, not everybody behind the wall is doing life. Obviously, guys are doing life. They don't want to be bothered with that shit. But if you got guys that have a date, they're looking to politic, and
get out.
hopefully when they get out, they'll get their button.
Makes
So,
sense.
and besides that, wise guys have they have their tentacles out in the street. You do something bad to a wise guy in prison, when you get out, somebody's gonna put their hands on you.
100%. That makes sense. What let's go to this question. What was your day-to-day life like? So, like, you wake up, did you have like a certain time you had to be there? Like, I know.
Yeah, I usually picked up Joe uh, between 8 and 9 o'clock every morning. Most of the time 8:30. And if he's running late, I'd park the car, go upstairs. His I'll call her his second wife because she was more than a gumata. And she, she'd like, if I wanted a cup of coffee, she'd make me a cup of coffee. If I wanted like eggs with hash browns and bacon, she'd cook it for me. But I never
Real
made her
quick,
do that.
real quick before you go on. So who was it? Have you seen Sopranos?
Yeah, I've seen it.
So you were like Furio essentially, where like he would go in and like wait downstairs.
I mean, I didn't wait downstairs. I went upstairs and sat in the kitchen.
No, that's what I'm
With,
saying. Like you
yeah.
waited for him to like come down and like you had breakfast and like that's pretty cool actually.
No, I'm joking. I mean, obviously she offered it, but I never,
Oh wow.
made her cook me a breakfast. But I was like part of the family back then. It wasn't, every day I was with the guy, day and night. And so anyway, so I'd pick him up, and then we'd start our day. Drive over here. Sometimes we went by the club, the Bergen Hunt. There was a little diner across the street. So if he had to stop over there, we'd go and we'd eat breakfast in that little diner across the street. Guy was a really good cook too.
I remember when John was convicted, they interviewed that guy like on one of the TV stations. He was very like he loved John Gotti. Like he was very like adamant about that. But they said his food was good.
Yeah, very good. I mean, that's where I met a bunch of guys from going to that place. You got to remember, but I was really young at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, or basically all we did all day was drive around from payphone to payphone, from borough to borough. Pull the car over, he'd hop out, go for a walk. Might go walk around the block a few times. We might meet somebody in Forest Park. They'd meet in the woods. Sometimes they would actually meet in the woods and walk through the woods. Yeah, so they wouldn't. As things got hotter.
Can you say who met in the woods? That's pretty interesting.
I remember one of Nicky's guys, a guy named Kid. I refer to everybody as a kid. We're all grown men now. But his name was Mario. I forget his last name. He got straightened out. He was like grew up in Avenue L in Canarsie, with Mike and Adi and those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember meeting him at Forest Park, and they went for a walk in the woods.
Wow, that's super is careful, right? There's no way.
I mean, there's also a pretty there's a photo of Bobby Vinay's, JoJo Corozzo, and Alphonse Trucchio at Forest Park. This guy Jerry, who was a supervisor for the feds at the time, just happened to be eating lunch, not too far from there, and he saw them, meeting over there, and I would assume that they just came out from walking around in the woods or the trails that were over there, and now they were just hanging out by the basketball court, and they had some like little areas where you park benches where you can sit down, and he made a phone call and told somebody to get there right away so they can get that photo. And if you Google it, you'll see Alphonse. He's wearing shorts, and JoJo. Alphonse is dressed like a basketball player, and JoJo and Bobby Vinay look like two old men.
I'm gonna look that up and see if I can find it because I don't think I've ever seen that photo.
Yeah, it's a surveillance photo.
No shit. I'm gonna look up and see if I can find that.
And how I know that the supervisor, got that photo by accident was because when I started cooperating, the guy, I was friendly with the guy. When I'd go to the FBI building, we'd sit down and talk. He was actually the guy that verified that I was who I said I was. And, we became friendly, and he told me that, one day I was sitting by Forest Park and I look up, I see Bobby Alphonse and JoJo standing there talking, and he said I don't remember if he said he went to the FBI building to get a camera right away, or he just called up and had someone come down with a camera.
That's amazing. He just kind of stumbled upon it. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, the FBI building was like it was on Queens Boulevard and Union Turnpike. I mean, it's really close to the neighborhood.
Do you think, like, obviously you were around him a lot, was it like super difficult for him to get to like quality places to speak to people?
Well, you know what? As the years went by, it got it got a little bit. He became a little bit more careful as time went on. Like, in the beginning, we just meet somewhere and he'd take a walk around the block. We'd stop. We'd use the pay phones. He'd tell me who to beep. I'd go beep them, wait for them to call back and tell them where to meet us. And then I'd hop in the car. We'd drive to wherever it was we were going to meet them. And that's pretty much what we did all day. As
So a lot of your day was just coordinating phone calls and like driving him around.
Yeah. Yep.
Kind of just like any other, job essentially.
Or like if he had something to do, I'd drop him off and then I'd go meet Johnny Bino, Louis Mastrangelo, Bobby, Ronnie One. Sometimes I had to give them money. Sometimes they had to give me money for him, because all of those guys, the loan sharker money that they put out was JoJo's money. So let's say a guy needed $5,000, they would send a message to me or someone else, tell Joe that they need $5,000. Joe would give me the $5,000 and I'd give it to them and they'd give it to whatever customer they got.
This is kind of a random question and it's kind of my own question. So like, let's say someone needs 5,000. Does he like have that money in like a certain location and he just goes and like picks it up and then hands it off?
Yeah, he had a few different locations, but you can never tell if he's actually going to the location. I mean, he always walked around with like 10, 15,000 in his pocket.
Wow. So he was like kind of just like doling out cash to everybody.
Well, yeah, if they needed
like, did he tell you to like, hey, keep track of all this shit?
Like if somebody needed a large amount of money, he would just tell them. He would just tell me to tell them to meet me the next day somewhere. What happened?
No, I'm listening. Sorry.
Yeah, he would tell me to tell them to meet me the next day somewhere, and then when I picked him up, he already had money.
Right.
So, I mean, he did keep money home, and his second wife's house, his wife's house. I remember one time his first wife, the mother of his children, decided to send the drapes to the dry cleaners, and she didn't know he had like 35,000 hidden inside the drapes.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was a funny. And if you knew Joe, he can get pretty fucking loud. When he get mad. When he got mad, he'd start yelling and hemming and hawing. So I could just imagine.
Was he a kind of was he like a cheap guy, or more of like, did every dollar count, or was he more?
I mean, I didn't see him as a cheap guy, but when it came to business, he was shrewd.
Sure.
But I've seen him go into his pocket many a times.
We heard like I asked Gene Barella one time when I had him on, I think the first time I interviewed him, like kind of what was the like levels of when you give someone money. Like let's say JoJo gives someone money and they don't pay. Is there like a certain amount of time where you give them an opportunity to, make a payment plan or like something, or was it immediately we got to take it to the next step?
No, it's not. It wasn't immediately you got to take it to the next step. You're going to try to work with the guy. You're only going to put hands on someone as a last resort.
Right.
Nothing good came out of that. Obviously some guys needed, I mean, Mikey Monk also worked for JoJo, and he used to collect money for Joe. And there was this young kid from the neighborhood, not young, I mean like around my age. I don't even know his name. They called him Frankenstein. He looked like Frankenstein. And, JoJo told me to go see him because he wasn't paying Mikey. And I remember Little John, Ronnie One-Arm's nephew, was with me. And I hit the kid over the head a few times with a nightstick. But, he must have really pushed it to the limit. And most guys, they didn't push it to the limit. Don't, if they were really on hard times, you'd know they were on hard times, But usually, they caught up.
So mostly it's all kind of cinematic that like people don't pay. Like if you loan 10 people money, 10 people are going to pay it back.
Yeah, most likely. But don't get me wrong. There's people who don't pay. And,
Sure.
They'll get what they got coming.
Sure.
But it doesn't make any sense. Usually it'll just be a beating. They're not going to kill you. They kill you, they can't get paid anything.
Absolutely. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Sure.
Some of these guys are ruthless, but I remember hearing stories about, guys would pass away and they'd make their father or their sons responsible for the money.
So they wouldn't just forgive it. They'd like go to the son or someone else.
Yeah.
Wow.
If it was like a lot of money, and it all depends like how long the guy was paying for also.
Mm-hmm.
You might have a customer, he might have paid whatever he borrowed 10 times already with the juice, so then you might cut him a break, if he comes up short. You already made your money. You don't want to strangle the guy completely,
Right. So there is a certain level of working with people you have to do, which again,
yeah, sometimes it just comes with the territory. Sometimes you got to work with people.
I don't know if I've ever asked you this, but the reason I ask is just because I've watched a lot of content on it recently, and it was a horrible day. And I know you were around the day is September 11th. Do you remember that day? Like where you were?
Yeah.
What was that like as far as like, I'm guessing you were at like a club. Like what was that like?
Yeah, I was home, and then I went to the cafe, and I walked in. Everybody was staring at the TVs. And I remember my wife at the time calling me, wanted me to pick her up in Long Island City. It was a crazy day, but a lot of people didn't really know 100% what was going on right away.
Did you see it from where you were?
I saw it on TV. I knew as soon as I saw it on TV, I said, that's a terrorist attack.
You knew, wow.
Yeah, I mean, you got two planes crashing into
I think once that happened, everyone kind of figured this is some coordinated.
The first one, you're like, wondering, maybe you're not thinking terrorists, but it is kind of a freak accident. And then you see the second one crashing into the next
that's when you knew
Twin Tower. That's when you know for sure.
100%. This is a good one.
Frankie said, I was with Howie the night before at a 7-card poker game in Glendale.
Oh, were you really?
Yeah, that was during the time when that was like towards the end of me hanging out by Bobby's every day.
Right. Okay. Wow. So you guys were together the day before. That's pretty interesting. Was JoJo Corozzo's nickname Miserable accurate?
The Sicilians faction gave him that name.
Why was that? Moody? He was just moody.
Yeah, he was a serious guy, and he was moody at times, but he had a lot of responsibility, and some of these guys they're not as he expected everyone to be as responsible as he was. He was really, really responsible guy, like, very disciplined.
And just got annoyed. He just got annoyed with people that weren't.
Yeah, not everybody was. A lot of guys slept late. They stayed up late, out drinking, wake up late the next day, hung over, late for whatever it is they might have needed to do, and that would drive them nuts.
Was he a good family man, like with his own family?
Oh yeah, he took care of his family. He put 2 kids through law school,
Yeah, his kid
um,
became a lawyer.
and Rocco, his first son, had many businesses, liquor store. Not all at the same time, but at different times. A body shop. He tried a lot of things, and then he finally went back. He went to law school, and I believe he became like a real estate or an accident attorney.
Wow, so both of his kids became lawyers. Wow,
Yeah, eventually, yeah, at the end.
that's pretty impressive. What was your favorite restaurant in New York City?
Um,
We'll just
I
say all
like
5 boroughs.
I like Patsy's, the one in Manhattan and the one in Brooklyn.
Okay, a lot of Patsy's restaurants. There's one in the Bronx. I mean, there's
Yeah, the one in Manhattan. What is it, like in Midtown?
okay.
Huh?
I've never been. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't even remember the location because most of the time we went to the one in Brooklyn by the Brooklyn Bridge. Um, yeah, I also liked another uh, brick oven place was in Forest Hills called Nick's. Was by Austin Street.
It's a
People
pizzeria,
familiar?
right?
Yeah, brick oven pizza. Yeah,
There's so my old boss at Barstool, he reviewed that place. I remember.
yeah. See, I'm not usually a calzone eater, but at that place I went there specifically for the calzone.
Really?
Yeah, it was because they made. I, I I liked calzone with pepperoni in it,
Hmm.
and they used the real pepperoni, not that sliced stuff.
Yeah, yeah, real
And
stuff.
the oils that come out of the pepperoni mixed in with the cheese and the
Yep.
ricotta cheese, and
Hmm.
the outside from the brick oven was so crispy and browned. It was,
Yeah, it sounds great.
yeah,
Did you ever go to Rikers Island?
yeah,
Do you have
yeah. I
any
was in,
stories about
I
that?
was in, I was in Rikers Island in 1993 when you can slice a guy from their forehead to their ankles with a razor blade, and all you got was 30 days in the hole.
Wow, really?
Yeah, actually, when I was there, there wasn't a lot of bloods yet. It was the Latin Kings and the Nietas that ran the show over there.
Did you have
Um,
any problems yourself?
yeah, I got into a fight. See, what's funny is Paulie McDonald. He was one of the partners for Metro Auto Salvage. He had done a bit in Rikers Island, and he made friends with a correction officer that worked there. And the guy came down to the junkyard. I guess he hooked him up with some parts and stuff like that. So this guy was like my go-to in Rikers, and he also happened to be the guy that, uh, like, you get into a fight with someone, you go and you sit down with the correction officer. He's like the judge. He's going to determine what you're going to get, how many days in a hole, if you're going to go to the hole. So I got into an argument and a quick fight with a black guy in the computer room. Um, at the time, you had to give your ID card to get a CD to put it in the computer,
Hmm.
and he wanted to use the CD I had. Anyway, that wasn't going to work that way. So we threw a couple punches, and that was it. There was too many people right there, and they broke it up right away. And so automatically, after you get into an altercation in there, you go to the doctor. He's got to make sure clear you to go back to the unit, make sure you're okay. So when I got cleared, I went back to the unit. All the nietas that I was friends with, I was in North Mott at the time. They told me, they said, "You want a fair one? We'll watch the door. Make sure you get a fair one." So obviously I said yeah. And so I walked into the day room, and he was watching TV. So I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to tap this guy on the shoulder, tell him to get up? I just cracked him while he was sitting down from behind. So we started rolling around on the floor. The guards came in, broke it up. They sent me to 7 lower in the 6th building, and him somewhere else. So I wind up going to court, and the correction off my hook is the guy who's going to determine what kind of punishment I get. So obviously nothing happened. I didn't get any hold time, but he also saw the other kid, and he had spoken to my friends at the junkyard and told them that the other kid had a black eye. So I was young at the time, kind of made me look good to the people outside, that there was somebody verifying that I gave the guy a black eye in Rikers Island. Kid stuff, but
So you had to do something like to get like really put in the hole there. You had to do something real bad. So it was kind of a gladiator school type place.
Well, the thing was, that's what made it so bad, was that you didn't really have to. I mean, how much worse can you get? Slicing a guy, giving a guy 180 stitches in the face. Well, they call them $150, 150 stitches. I mean, guys would get their faces sliced open, and it would just open up. All you saw was like white, and then the blood would come out. There was guys getting sliced every day, getting stabbed every day, and all you got was 30 days in a hole. You do that now, today, you'll get about another 7 years added to your time.
Sure. Yeah, it's totally different now, right? Does Howie ever stay in touch with anyone from that neighborhood? Obviously, he's not going to answer that. I don't think.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure he does. We'll just say that.
Let's just say everyone does.
Yeah. And that's one thing I think is interesting about this genre is I can guarantee every person that did cooperate, I guarantee they are still talking to people from where they were. Like I definitely believe Sammy Gravano still talks to people from New York, 100%. I think that's pretty normal, Rami. Did Howie ever date a made guy's daughter? I don't know if we'll answer that one either.
No, I don't think I did.
Yeah, that would be probably something you probably weren't looking to either. You're probably just looking to find someone that wasn't connected to anyone, right?
Yeah. It was. I mean, you got killed pretty easy during the days I grew up over there.
Would you have though? Let's say there was just like a beautiful woman, right? And like she was interested in you, but it was like
I mean, but probably. But I'd make sure I treat her with respect.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. By the way, everybody, thank you for watching. A lot of good questions in here tonight. A lot of good people here. I appreciate all of you joining us. If you have a question for Howie, if he's gracious with his time, that's one thing I love about Howie. Guys like Frank, I mean, they just like talking about this, stuff, living out, their life, which, their lives were super interesting. So I'm glad they're here. And shout out to Frank, who's in the chat as well. Howie, did you know a guy from the Colombo family called Chicky? He was a part of Wild Bill's crew. Did you know him?
I didn't know him personally, but I know who he was. I'll tell you a little story with Chicky. He used to come by the club once in a while, and I think him and JoJo were having a problem at one time because we were at a wedding, and a kid that I grew up with, his name was Joe Baruso. He wound up being around Chicky, and he was always with him at the time, just like I was with Joe. And I remember being at a wedding, and all the heavy hitters, the Marinos, Paulie McDonald, Ronnie One Arm, and a few other guys, a lot of big, strong guys. We all got into a couple of cars, and we went to meet. JoJo had to meet with Chicky. And we all drove there with him, parked the cars, and he got out of the car and went to speak to Chicky with Ronnie One Arm, and my friend Joe Baruso was with Chicky. And they, straightened out whatever it was they had to straighten out, but it's definitely with some tension because you're not going to take, 2-3 carloads of guys with you to a regular meeting.
Yeah, he was a pretty feared guy. I know that. I know he did a lot of prison time. And listen, Wild Bill was a tough guy in his own right. Very very polished guy in that world. Mike DeBella, thank you for the donations, my friend. You're a good man. Mike asks, Howie, do you know his nephew Pat? I'm not sure whose nephew he's talking about. I was in C76 at that time. Do you know anyone called Pat?
I mean, I know a couple of Pats. Whose nephew? Chicky's nephew?
I'm not exactly sure, Mike. Maybe you could be a little more descriptive of who he's talking about. Yeah, he sent it a little bit ago, so he might have.
I was in C76 in 1993, and then I got transferred to the Queen's house, and I was with Tommy Rhett from the Lucchese family.
Okay. Let's see if he responds. I'm not sure who he's talking about. Someone has a nephew called Pat, so we'll see. This is an odd question. Did you like Mikey Scars or not like Mikey Scars?
I never met Mikey Scars, but
Okay.
I seen him around. I seen him at the funerals and stuff like that.
You had no issue with him, right?
No, I never had an issue with him.
Yeah, we'll wait to see if Mike responds. This is a good question, actually. As a Puerto Rican, were you ever discriminated against in that life due to being Puerto Rican?
Not to my face. As a matter of fact, when people said something derogatory about a Puerto Rican, they would apologize, say no offense.
Okay, so it didn't happen much, and if it did, they would never say it.
Yeah, but I heard a few people refer to me as the spick behind my back.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, like fucking Alphonse Trucchio, that fucking scumbag. That's an envious motherfucker right there, Alphonse Trucchio.
Yeah, I've always sensed you weren't a big fan of his.
Well, I was always around to help him when he had problems in school. I taught him how to play gin, but I always had. I was always getting involved with things, and people always saying, "Oh, did you hear Howie this, Howie that? Oh, did you hear what happened over there with Howie?" And he didn't get that type of. He got straightened out and everything, but he wasn't known for being a tough guy, and he didn't get that type of notoriety. And he's just one of them jealous fucking guys, and there's guys that will talk bad about, guys who have a decent reputation to make themselves look good, because I never forget, and it always stuck in my head, and I never forgot about it. I always kept it in the back of my mind when we were friendly again. And he had seen a friend of mine, and that friend of mine said, "Hey, Howie's coming out in a couple months," or whatever it was. And he told the guy, he said, "Fuck Howie." Because he was able to say that now, because now he's a wise guy. And I believe at the time he was an acting captain for his father.
So he kind of had rank. He felt he could say what he wanted because of,
his not to my face, but he'd do it behind my back. And I didn't like him for that.
Do you think it bothered him for so long that you were around like JoJo and like you were?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, like I don't know. It's like
it's envious.
He didn't want envy. That's what it is. He had all the money in the world. He had his button, but he didn't have that fucking reputation for being a tough guy.
And that bothered him.
And all of those guys want that reputation.
Sure. 100%.
Or not even like necessarily a tough guy with your hands, like a serious guy.
Gotcha.
A guy that'll do some serious stuff if he has to. Shoot you, stab you.
Well, I guess that answers this question. Any Al Trucchio stories? There we go. Mike DeBell's talking about JoJo's nephew, Pat.
Pat what?
I'm not sure.
I don't think I've ever met a nephew of JoJo's named Pat.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, he's got a nephew Blaze. He's got a nephew Nicky. Um, on
was
what
he close
side of the
with,
family?
was he close with his brothers, JoJo?
I mean, during the time that I was around him, he didn't really, he wasn't really close with them. I mean, they were always around. They'd hang out at the same club as everyone else. But you can tell like Joe, they weren't as responsible as JoJo and Nikki, the twins, Blaze and Anthony. They were, a little bit of like, fuck ups growing up. Like if you hear the name Blaze Corozzo, Anthony Corozzo, they're never going to be considered on the same level as JoJo and Nikki. I'm not saying that they were bad guys. I liked Anthony. I got along with Anthony. I had my little run-ins with Blaze, but nothing serious. Just
Yeah, I mean, I think
he stuck up for a couple of guys that I had problem with, and he really wasn't looking, to let it go my way.
Yeah, I definitely think in my research, obviously, I mean, you would know more than me, but I think we definitely know that Blaze and Anthony were definitely nowhere near the level of the other two brothers for sure.
I mean, Anthony basically wasn't really involved with the life.
Yeah, he was more just like a, kind
He
of
was
a
trying
guy.
to be an actor.
Yeah, yeah. And actually was in Sopranos. He was like an
He was
extra.
a jeweler. He was a jeweler for many years.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Pasta Patate. I appreciate that, my friend. What year did you start being around the Gambinos? How old were you?
In the early 80s, like 83, 84, like that. So,
Yeah, pretty long time.
yeah, so what would I be like? Fuck, 66, 76, well, like 18, 17, 18, like that.
So you were really young.
When I was old enough to actually,
Let me ask you.
have conversate with these people. Before that, I was younger. I just used to see them.
Sure. Yeah, you were mentioning like when you're in Rikers, like the Nietas and some of the other gangs, obviously not mob groups. And obviously you lived in a neighborhood that was dominated by mobsters. But did any like Spanish gangs ever try to get to you or anything?
What's funny is that anyone who sounds like me, right, they give him the nickname Gotti. And I guess that's their way of saying that you're probably all mobbed up or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, anybody that sounded like me, looked like me, they would assume was mobbed up. So they would give you a little bit of respect for that. Plus, as soon as they heard my last name, they know I'm Puerto Rican too. So.
Oh wait, I'm muted. My fault.
Yeah.
That's a good question. What is the average percentage of the take that is kicked up from a soldier to capo and capo to boss? I don't know if you would know that. I mean, obviously,
There's no average percentage. I mean, there's a, like most people, what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, you usually want to keep it around 10%.
right.
But every situation is different. You got guys doing different things for money. Um, and most guys, they're not going to let you know exactly how much they're making. So basically, like the captain, he's like whatever his soldiers give him, they give him. He's not going to go unless he's actually partners with whatever it is that they're doing. Um, it's just basically you have some guys who give more just because they want to, they're looking to brown nose, so they'll give more on purpose than other guys.
Yeah.
But doesn't necessarily mean that they're earning more. But and then that's on that level. Then you have the level where the family will put guys to manage parts of the construction industry, stuff. the clothing district, stuff like that. Whoever they put to take care of that part of their business. Obviously, they're not going to take 10%. It's going to be whatever they say it is.
Right.
They're going to tell you what you're going to get.
So it really depended what you were doing.
Yeah, right. Like basically those guys, with the boss, the underboss. Well, I know the Gambino family. Definitely after John Gotti. I don't know if it was like that during his reign, but I would imagine it was. The boss, underboss, and the consigliere split the money. So whatever comes up to the top, whatever comes from all of those different industries, the garment district, the construction, and whatever else, they would split. And then whatever tribute came from the captains, they would also split.
I gotta ask, we had him on recently, and it was an interesting interview. Did you know Louis Casman?
No, I never spoke to Louis. I mean, I seen him around dozens of times, but I never spoke to him. No.
You didn't know him? Okay. This is actually a good question. I think sometimes with guys like yourself, we kind of just let's be honest, we use you guys a lot for some of the great info you have. You have a very interesting life story, but I don't think we necessarily sometimes always know you like we should. Did you ever want to do anything else with your life? Like, did you ever have any other dreams? Like, did you ever want to be something like different?
No,
did you ever
once I mean, I grew up in the heart of it, and as soon as I knew what was going on, that's all I ever wanted to be was a gangster.
So you never.
I've turned down opportunities to work in the stock market and other places just because I didn't want anyone to be able to say that I actually work for a living.
Wow. So you just wanted to be out there every day. That
Yeah.
was your.
Obviously, I regret that.
Right.
You live and you learn, but at the time, you felt like you were less than if you couldn't make it in the street.
Right. Yeah. I mean, at least you're honest about it. I think a lot of people would have a similar opinion for you. They would have as well. This is actually an interesting question. Did you know John Lester? Do you know him?
Yeah, he's the kid that got locked up for the Howard Beach incident.
Yeah. Did you know him?
But no, I didn't. I didn't know him. No.
Okay.
He was a Howard Beach guy.
Um.
Plus, he went away pretty young, right?
Yeah. I think he ultimately died as well recently. I think.
He died?
I believe so. Yeah.
Natural causes?
I think he died in around 2015. I think around then. I could be wrong on the date, but around then.
Wow.
I'll have to look up why. If you were driving around Joe, how did you make money? Did they kick you into deals?
No, I was JoJo taught me how to loan shark.
So you had your own book.
He got me he sent me to Bobby, and Bobby gave me a half sheet with the sports and had the guys that worked the office teach me what a reverse is and all of that stuff. Plus I basically knew already, from everyone gambling around me and gambling myself before I was driving Joe around. But yeah, that was my pay. The ability to push money and take action and whatever else happened to come along. Like we built a cafe called Cafe 101 down the road from the club, and so I that was mine and Joe's place, and I basically built it, not with my own hands, but I managed the construction of it, and but then we sold it to this guy Piccolo, and the guy a couple of weeks after he bought it, he got locked up, wound up getting 33 years. Because he had a crew of guys that were doing armed robberies that were around him, and they put him as the boss, and yeah, I think he got I I don't know, like maybe like 7, 8 years, and then they gave him like a 25-year enhancement for a gun during the course of a crime.
You know, it's funny.
25-year enhancement. Imagine that.
Well, yeah, because they hit you with the 924Cs and all the different gun charges, right? You know, it's funny you're talking about reverses. That's when I started betting when I was a kid. That was the bet I would make on a college football. I'd find two teams and I'd bet $100 reverses, because reverse you win 4 times what you bet, right? So, yeah, I remember. Well, those
because you lose one, you're still gonna lose.
Right. But you break even. You have to lose both, like, to really, like, you'd have to pay double. But I mean, reverse, you make 4 to 1 on your money, basically. So
no, well, if you lose one side on a reverse, you're gonna pay that one side plus double juice, I believe.
See, we didn't. Where I was, it would just be like losing a regular bet, $1.10, right? So if you bet 100, you lose 110.
Yeah, well, you see, that's the way you're doing it. Then it's not a sucker bet.
No.
Right. A reverse was in my neighborhood was considered a sucker bet.
Well, see, I look at it more like when you start going above 2 teams in any bet, I think that's when you start getting into the sucker bet. Like, so parlays, right? You bet 4 times.
Yeah. I mean, it's not as bad as a triple reverse, but
no, like, I always looked at it as, at worst I'm going to lose one, and that's that. But I can enhance my wager by taking 2 teams I really like, putting them together, 4 to 1 on my money. I like that. By the way, for anyone curious about John Lester, he did his prison time. He actually went back to England and became an electrical engineer. So he died. It doesn't say how he died, but for anyone curious. And who John Lester is, he was involved with basically beating a black teen to death. And it was a big thing in Howard Beach in the 80s.
So let's say you do 100-time reverse and you lose one side, you're gonna have to pay $600.
No,
from where the way it was, where in my neighborhood, you lost that bet plus the juice.
Well, no, so you lose. So if you bet $100 on a reverse
because the way you're saying, and what it's basically like 2 straight bets.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, so a reverse in our neighborhood, you lost one side. You paid the one side plus juice.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You'd have to if both. Let's say I bet the Eagles -4 and the Lions -6, and the Eagles cover but the Lions don't. I would just owe $110. If both the Eagles and Lions don't cover and I lose both, I would lose double. So
yeah, right.
Yeah.
You're always if 2 teams don't win, you're always going to lose money. Like it didn't even matter if one team won and if the other team lost, you still had to pay that and plus the juice.
Correct. Yeah, that's 100%. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Then I misunderstood you.
Did you know Joe Watts?
No.
Never met Joe Watts.
I ain't that old.
This is actually a great question. A lot of people have had this misunderstood or they don't know, and this is a great question. Was Alphonse Trucchio shelved?
Yeah. Yep. He disrespected JoJo and he got fucking shelved indefinitely.
Yeah, and I've heard that as well. Some people say it was over Bobby Glasses, but
it was more than one reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was.
Do you know what his current standing is?
Well, from what I understand, he got shelved indefinitely.
Okay, fair enough.
Now, if these guys pass away, well, Bobby passed away, JoJo's still alive. If JoJo passes away and whoever's in charge wants to, take him off the shelf, that's up to them. But if they got any loyalty, and which the guys that are in charge have a lot of loyalty to Bobby, Dominic Cephalou, what's his face? Jesus, I'm having a mental block. But the Sicilians, they're all were loyal to Bobby. So if that was Bobby's wish, he's going to have a tough time getting off the shelf. Maybe he's got a shot, but with, if JoJo ain't around no more, but with the people that were loyal to Bobby. I don't know.
Well, this is a question that I think you can answer.
Lorenzo, that was the name I was trying to think.
Lorenzo Menino. Yeah. This is a question that I think you can answer yourself. I mean, I'm not even in the mafia or any connected to it, and I give it money at weddings, so I don't think it matters if you're an associate or not. If Howie goes to a wedding,
I'd give an envelope.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think that's a norm. I mean, who wouldn't give a gift at a wedding? I feel like that's kind of a norm, isn't it, in general?
Yeah. I mean,
Were
JoJo would get, like if he was invited to a wedding, he'd get a table.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'd invite whoever he wanted to invite. That was usually the immediate crew. And, and everyone gave an envelope.
Do you remember any big weddings you went to?
Rocco's wedding, JoJo's son.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, engagements, christenings, basically people like from his family. I don't remember exactly. You know how many weddings I went to that I didn't even know the people that were getting married. I didn't know the people that were getting engaged. Who was making a confirmation or communion. It was always a relative or a friend, some other wise guy's children.
Sure.
But I guess the biggest one that I was involved with, I was actually involved with the wedding, was Rocco Corozzo. We actually spent the night in the basement of JoJo's house in Brooklyn watching the money.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Until they took the money where it had to go. Me, Vinny Marino, I think Angelo Marino. I'm not 100% if Paulie McDonald was there also, but yeah, we had a pistol too, and we stayed in the basement and watched the money until they took it wherever they had to take it.
How much do you think was in there?
Maybe a few $100,000.
Wow, that's insane. All right, we'll do one or two more, and then we don't want to be
a lot of parties at the El Carib.
Okay, that was the spot people liked.
Well, that they were friendly with the Corozzos.
Okay.
Nicky Corozzo specifically.
So they probably got nice deals on that.
Yeah.
All right,
but besides that too, you want to, if you got a friend, you want them to earn too.
Yeah, 1,000%. All right, one or two more here. We've obviously heard Anthony Ruggiano told a story that supposedly Nicky Corozzo and John Sr. got into a fight when they were younger. What was their relationship like later in life?
Say that again.
Well, Ruggiano's told a story that when he was young, when they were all younger, he had heard a story that Nicky Corozzo essentially beat up John Sr. with a phone or something.
Yeah, I heard the same story. Yeah.
Okay.
I also heard another story that a guy by the name of Chink, when they were younger and had a street brawl or something, cracked John with a baseball bat.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've also heard Michael Paradiso slugged him at one point.
This obviously this all took place when they were younger.
Sure.
John wasn't who he wound up being.
And we're not trying to paint John Sr. as like a punk.
No, it's nothing to be ashamed of.
We don't want certain people to get upset there, Howie.
I've already told the story, so I think I told it on the first interview with you. Yeah,
I think you did. Real quick, did their relationship was quite mended though later in life, obviously, right?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I know John used to test Nicky Corozzo's loyalty, have him meet him in the middle of the night under a bridge or something.
Really?
Yeah, Nicky showed up every time by himself.
See, that's dedication. It's Cosa Nostra for those guys.
Oh yeah, Nicky was Cosa Nostra to the fucking core.
Did you know
JoJo? 24/7.
There are like very few of those types left. Did you know anyone with the Gemini crew?
No.
Yeah, that also was. They were almost, a lot of them were gone to the time you came around. Yeah, we talked about Al Trucchio Pasta. He brought that up and said some things about Al. We'll just say they didn't have the greatest relationship per se.
What?
Let me just
Alphonse Trucchio? Yeah, I'm
yeah.
not gonna tell that story again
No,
because
please,
I don't
yeah.
want you to get in trouble.
Just for anyone that doesn't know, so on our last interview we did, Howie told a story about Alphonse, and I got into a lot of issue because of that just fucking story. But you know,
I could just imagine what they said about me.
yeah, it's just it's how this goes sometimes. Let me ask you, Howie, do you tomato sauce? What do you call it?
Sauce.
Right, good.
We don't call it gravy, no.
And that gravy thing is so stupid. I mean, and I had this, and all the smart people know, like other creators and other commenters. There's one or two that will say gravy, and I say to myself, gravy is fucking brown. Okay, you put it on potatoes and turkey and stuff like that.
Yeah, that used to mess me up when somebody called it gravy.
Yeah, gravy goes on it's like for Thanksgiving. You put it on your turkey. Sauces. Remember, the Italian word sugo translates to sauce. Doesn't translate to gravy. So
I mean, it's made with tomato sauce.
exactly.
So,
Well said.
somebody asked in the chat if I knew Bobby the Jew. If they're talking about Bobby Warner, yeah, I knew him.
Yeah, I remember bringing him up. He was Bobby Glass's pal. He was a big bookmaker, wasn't he?
Yeah, big bookmaker. Lot of card games. All his life, always had a card game.
I'm speaking of him. I got to ask you. We were talking about restaurants. Did you ever go to that German restaurant, Frank?
Yeah, yeah, all the time.
Soup Stammich or whatever.
Zum Stammtisch, yeah.
Yeah, he told me that Bobby Glasses loved that place.
Yeah, the beef goulash.
Oh yeah, that's what Frank I think said. Something along the lines of goulash. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. This is a good question. Who was the most feared Gambino person around your time, or who you met? Like who just like was a kind of like feared that you remember?
Like from where I was from, I would say Ronnie One Up.
It's probably a good answer.
Like but Paulie McDonald was feared in a different way.
Yeah,
Paulie McDonald was tough and strong with his hands. Ronnie obviously he was a killer.
Sure.
Yeah, a lot of people feared Ronnie.
I bet.
I mean, but that same guy that Ronnie won on, he feared JoJo too. So, you can say that it was JoJo, but that wasn't JoJo's role. Like he didn't play that role. Ronnie played that role. The feared killer. I mean, I've actually heard Ronnie say, "I'm the fucking killer in this neighborhood. Who the fuck are you?" Yeah, I heard him yelling at kid that hung out. I'm not going to say his name. I don't want to embarrass him, but yeah, because he didn't like the kid, and the kid didn't say hello quick enough or something, and Ronnie gave him a tongue lash, and he'd get angry. He'd be like, "I'm the fucking gangster."
So you would agree he probably belongs in prison, right?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. If I'm gonna give you my opinion,
I mean, listen,
from a regular person standpoint, yeah.
But I heard a guy. I want to say it was one of the most like. There's a guy in the federal prison system. He's like escaped like 2 or 3 times, and he said one time that when the last time he got kidnapped, he said, this ADX place I'm at, there needs to be places like this for people like me. So the rest of the country's protected from people like me. And he basically said like prisons need to be here and certain people need to be in them. So yeah, I think people like that are just kind of,
Yeah, but Ronnie wasn't like a mad dog killer. He didn't like fucking kill people because they looked at him crooked.
Right.
You know, that was more a Vito Guzzo type guy.
Yeah, I will say, man, you know, and we I did a show this weekend on that group. I mean, he was a really depraved character, Vito Guzzo. I mean, he did some. I mean, that one whacking they did with the two people, that was I mean, lighting them on fire and stuff. That was some wild shit. Frank Fiorellino says English muffin hamburger. That actually sounds pretty good. You're a
Yeah,
big,
English muffin hamburger is good.
you're
I'll
a
tell
big.
you one thing about Jeff. I've seen guys stutter when they talk. When JoJo would get a little angry and start raising his voice, I've seen them all stutter. Ron, Bino, Louie, Bobby, all of them at
Do you
times.
think that was just because of like his, the fact that he was so high up, basically?
Well, that and plus he was fucking nuts too. I mean, he fucking crack you in your mouth in a second. I mean, he cracked me in my mouth.
Did he really?
Yeah, when I stabbed the kid outside Choices. I promised him that I wasn't gonna start any trouble at Choices because he told me, he says, Howie, I got a lot of money invested in this place. You know, don't start any trouble here. So
And you did anyway.
I saw one of the guys that hit me with the bat, and I actually got him down the block. But as I was going to my car, he wound up running towards the front of the place, and he collapsed. And then I stabbed him a couple more times in the front, and that's all the fucking bouncers had to say. So when JoJo asked me what happened, I told him, no, I got him down the block. So he gave me another opportunity to tell the truth. He said, you sure you didn't do anything in front of the place? Nope, swear to God, I got him down the block. Bang!
Did it hurt?
He knocked my fucking tooth out.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Shit.
But that wasn't nothing compared to what happened with Ronnie One Arm. Ronnie One Arm and JoJo and Nicky Corozzo put him in the fucking in bed for like 2 weeks. They beat him up with cue balls, cue sticks, every fucking thing.
What was that about?
He got a fucking bag of fucking coke fell out of his pocket.
Ooh.
Or they reached in his pocket and pulled it out, because they were like that. I mean, I'm not 100% sure how if Nicky was, but I know JoJo, he would always stick his hands in your pocket and pull out whatever was in there.
Can I ask you a question about like the thought process with that? Obviously, he didn't want people selling narcotics. Why do you think so many mobsters said like they were mobsters, right? They were criminals. Why was anything off limits as far as money's concerned? I never like why are they all of a sudden like no drugs, you know? Like you're gangsters. Why did it matter?
Well, during that time, Ronnie was supposed to be behaving himself. You know, as we know, everyone partied during their at some point in their life. So, you know, that was supposed to be, you know, Ronnie was supposed to be behaving himself if he wanted to get his button.
Oh, so it was more about that. Okay.
Yeah, so you know, I mean, listen, he got his fucking beating because he fucked up. But he wound up becoming a captain anyway, you know? So that's the way those guys were, you know? If you fucked up and they felt they had to throw you a beating to knock some sense into you, they would. But they wouldn't chase you for it.
Right. That's interesting. So they beat him up real bad. Wow.
Because no matter what, they know he's a man. They know the only reason why he's not fighting back is because, you know, they'll kill him. And, you know, he's not in a position to go against them, you know? So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you want me to drop the link for Frank or no?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. By the way, Joey D'Angelo, this is a great show. Thank you, Joey. That's very nice of you. And thanks, everybody, for watching tonight. I really appreciate it. We had some great questions. I think people really enjoy hearing people like Howie and Frank. And this is actually a great question. What was JoJo opinions on Nazis?
He hated them.
Right. As many listen, if you were a citizen of this country, you should hate Nazis and you should never support them. It's interesting though. Certain people in this genre don't take that tact. Interesting. Buke, $2. Howie's a legend. Great to see him interviewed. Thank you, Buke. That's very nice of you. And Howie's just a really, you've always been good to me. Always been very nice to me, and it's nice to have guys like you that are willing to come on and give their opinion on things and share some of their story about their life. Someone asked what you're up to now. I'm not going to ask. I mean, you kind of have your life.
I work for a living. I'm doing well.
You have a regular life. By the way, the link is dropped, Frank, if you want to come on. Did you hear what Frank, he we were supposed to hang out last night, and he
that was last night? I thought that was the other time.
Well, he came up again. He hits me up about like 4 or 5 o'clock. He's like, "Hey, we're on our way up there." And I said, well, it sucks. He's like, I was hanging out with some people and I had to go to like a party. And I said, well, let's meet tomorrow, like today. And every time I hit him up, he's already gone. So we got to plan.
Yeah, he must be really trying to get that guy.
What's that?
He must be really trying to get that guy.
No, well, let's not talk about anything. Joe D.
I'm joking.
Joe D, great show. Thank you, Joe D. Thomas Howland, thank you so much. Hit that like button. Yes, please hit the like button. I don't know if Gunsmoke's listening. Shout out to Gunsmoke. I know sometimes you go on with him occasionally, and you guys always have some good.
I enjoy it. I really do. I enjoy getting an opportunity to talk to people, like-minded people, and people that understand what I'm saying. The circles that I run with today, I can't just sit there and tell them about the time I stabbed that guy, shot that guy,
Let me ask you, do you ever, like, obviously won't ask you where you are now, but do you ever tell anyone about who you were?
Yeah, I've told my girlfriend. I told her. Well, she already knew. She saw me on YouTube.
But like I'm saying, like, does anyone like know who you are? Like,
not where I'm at now.
Okay.
I know who to stay away from, but too,
Sure. Hey, Frank, what's up?
Hey, what's up, guys? What's going on?
Frankie.
Hey, what's up, pal?
What's up, buddy?
The dude stood me up again twice.
I didn't. Yes. Bro, you got to give me, like...
I know. I'm just playing around.
Like, for instance, Frank, let's say you're going to come up here next Saturday.
Well, I'm there because of a friend of mine's getting married. So we went for the suits, and then we came back again, because he's getting married. We hung out. I had to fly in for this shit, so I'm not happy about it. But I've basically, you live around the area, so I said, let me go see this kid and meet up with him, say hi to him, see what's up. And it's not your fault, it's us. And then my other friends are in a hurry, so it is what it is.
No, I'm just breaking your balls. We'll make it happen.
But it'd be nice to see you eventually. I'll probably be there one more time, and that's about it. And if we catch up, we catch up.
Yeah, we'll make it happen this time for sure. I'll tell you.
Hey, I saw that Giannini crew video today,
right?
And it was really good. And I have a funny story about Joe Galante if you want to hear it.
Sure.
Yeah, so,
apparently he said he paid for my fucking lawyer. I don't know where he came up with that story. That's one of the reasons it fucking probably got me more closer and closer to flipping. Fucking his lawyer never showed up. He came up there after fucking I gave him half the money, and his lawyer goes, I don't even know where the fuck he is. So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's just a fuck. That's what he is. He's fucking weird. Go ahead.
So I hung out with Joe Galante. He used to hang out. He lived in Ozone Park when he was younger. And, we all hung out on 101st Avenue. So we used to go out robbing cars at night. So I used to borrow my father's car. And we used to drive out, looking for cars to steal. So it was me and Joe one night. And he robs a Corvette. So now, he's driving. I'm staying, not close behind him, but, keeping up with him. So the cops fucking turn on the lights to pull him over. This fucking guy pulls the car over, gets out, and runs to my car. So now I fucking locked the door. I said, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. So but the cop wasn't going for it, and I wind up getting locked up with him. He's in a fucking Corvette. Take off. What are you fucking getting out and running to my? I'm driving an Oldsmobile. Where the fuck are we going in an Oldsmobile? So, but that's not the funny part of the story. The funny part of the story is he winds up going on the lam or something, or just goes on the run, and I wind up taking a guilty plea, and so like years later, his father comes out of jail. What was his father's first name?
Joe.
Joe Galante Sr. So he, without me knowing, he goes to the club and has a meeting with JoJo, and basically trying to tell Joe that I ratted on his son. Because I pled guilty.
Typical weasel shit.
We were supposed to do it together. Like, which anyway. So the moral of the story was when I sat down with Joe and told him what happened, Joe Galante wind up looking fucking worse than anyone. I didn't do anything wrong, and he wind up looking like a blowjob, and his father accomplished nothing.
Well, I'm just gonna keep this short. And the guy they brought to sit down with them, another guy that I was around, said he never been so embarrassed in his life because fucking he went there looking like he was gonna represent this kid, and he was the one who fucking looked fucking like a Struns shithead.
So he tried to throw you under the bus?
Yeah. Now, what is he trying to? He says, "What? I'm mad that I didn't call him as he wasn't my co-defendant. He was an accomplice in a crime of mine. He wasn't a co-defendant of mine. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. You see my indictment? Did you see his name on it?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've seen your indictment. It's interesting. Your indictment.
I don't want to talk to him. What the fuck is the fucking? I mean, if you want to meet up with me for something else, that's different. But I don't want to talk to him. What the fuck? I mean,
what are you talking about recently?
Yeah, it just I don't know.
Frank, do me a favor. Let's just keep that off here, maybe.
Okay. He came up. That's all.
Yeah, no, and I talked about him in the show yesterday, but no, he definitely was not on your indictment. I mean, Hector Pagan was on your indictment. I didn't know that, but
right.
But yeah, there were all sorts of names. And listen, just because someone's on an indictment with someon else, like that doesn't mean
right. Exactly. It's fucking. I've never been in a dick waving contest.
Right.
Yeah. What made me even madder was I always liked him, but I don't know if I actually saw him not too long. Huh?
I get the feeling Frank didn't though.
Well,
he
was
no, I don't dislike him. Look, I don't dislike him, but I don't understand why fucking even wants to what's the purpose?
Listen, one thing you got to be careful of, Jeff, okay? Anyone you speak to about me from the neighborhood, most likely they're going to say bad things because of what I did.
Oh, sure.
Okay, you're not going to have many people saying, oh, yeah, he was a stand-up guy, this, that, the other thing, because in the end, I wasn't. But when I was out there, I was. And, these people ain't going to want to give me accolades. They're going to try to fucking say things to put me down.
Of course.
Real quick, Scooter Craig, is it true you cried when Dave Portnoy kicked you to the curb? By the way, I didn't get fired. I don't know why that's still a point of contention with some of you weasels.
He cried with joy.
Yeah, I left. I don't know why this is so hard for some of you fucking idiots to read. This is actually something I wanted to read here. Frankie Styles says, Dom Korea is a professional paralegal in New York. Would JoJo Corozzo Jr. recommend his son Joe Jr. use him? How are his skills? Dominic Korea should be ashamed of himself for some of the things he's done on here.
One thing I make sure when I speak on YouTube, I make sure that everything I say is true, because I know they're waiting for me to slip up and lie about something.
100%.
Right.
No, you're absolutely right.
Thank you, Richie Morgan. I appreciate that. Yeah, listen, I mean, one thing you'll learn on here is people look for the littlest mistake you make, and they will you know, they'll never let you live it down. You know, people are human, man. You know, maybe they forget a year or something. They say a year differently than when it was. You know, I mean, this is not yesterday, right? This is 20, 30 years ago in some of these situations. But Frank, what did you think of the Giannini crew video? You think it was all right?
Yeah, it was good. Everything you do is pretty good.
I liked it.
You know, I don't like to talk about any active people. You know that. It was done well. It was done well, but pretty accurate. Very accurate, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, your stuff is pretty good. I mean,
that was the first time I saw that picture with Nat in the picture, and I've seen that picture a few times already. I just never noticed it was him.
All right.
Frank Fiorito, it's great to listen to. Really great show tonight. Thank you, love. Brooklyn, very appreciative. Thank you so much. Yeah, Brooklyn said she had never heard you before, Howie. She's for her first time hearing you.
Oh, okay.
She says thank you.
Thank you, Brooke.
But
it's
yeah,
very nice to look at.
I agree. Brooklyn is beautiful. I always say that. I told Howie, I think she's the best, one of the better looking commenters that we have here. Baby girl, she's beautiful as well. A lot of pretty girls in here. Thank you, Craig Tracy. I appreciate that. Yeah, I respect that, though. You guys generally don't talk much about active people, which, you know, I know you could. There are guys on here that do that. And I actually, when it comes to guys that were in that life, I did always find it a bit odd. Like, I know Panisi does it. It's kind of a bizarre in a way to me. But I know some guys do it, some guys don't. But I know most guys, I know Mikey Scars doesn't. You guys don't. Why is that?
I don't give a shit. If I don't like them, I'll talk about them.
Okay. I just don't talk about them in general. I just
don't.
See, you know.
Well, that's not necessarily true. I mean, well, JoJo isn't active anymore. I still got love for the guy. I only talk about
what do you
it
mean?
because.
What do you mean by that?
Hey, listen, you know.
You don't think he's out?
I grew up, you know. I grew up with the guy. You know, he didn't grow up with me, but I grew up with him, and I learned a lot from him. And I looked up to him as like a father figure. You know, during that time, and you know, no matter what happened, it was nothing personal. It was business for me.
Let me ask you something, Howie. You said you don't think he's active, really?
I really don't know. I would imagine he's not. You know, he's 81 years old, I believe, or 82, wow. And you know, I mean, he's made a lot of money. Why would he want to still be active? You know?
Yeah. Well, I guess the thought is just like, well, you know, they're always, you know, they don't really. That's just kind of their life. It's like always what they do, I guess. But I guess it makes sense. You retire eventually, right?
Yeah, you know, like maybe he still might have some shy customers and stuff like that, but you know, he's probably not really active with the politics and stuff anymore, you know.
This is actually a good question. I've always wondered this. Did either of you ever deal with Asian groups?
No.
Only in the massage parlors.
By the way, Frank, I heard you went to a massage parlor around here. Is that true?
That is true. I didn't. My big buddy did. He's fucking like I told you. He's like fucking 6'4", 6'5", 400 pounds. And the fucking lady was like, "What the fuck?" I sent you a picture.
Yeah, I'd love to know where that was because, I know there are a few around here, but like I didn't know. I don't know where that one was. I never heard of that.
I told you, but she looked like fucking Yoda though.
And like, was it like a massage parlor?
Yeah, he said he got tossed off in there, and I'm being serious. I don't
really?
know how fucking there was no really happy ending. You know what I mean?
No shit. Well, I know that like I've heard like certain like occasions, like on some of the highways out here, like they'll occasionally bust like a hotel with like Asians in it, and they're like doing stuff like that, but it hasn't happened in a while.
Yeah, I think the picture I showed you even had the address.
Oh shit! I have no interest in going there, but I would love to know where.
But you sound pretty interested.
No, I'd much rather.
I'm fucking around. I'm fucking around.
My own hands.
I'm serious. You look like one of them fucking, you know, those chicks in a Star Wars bar in the cantina.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went right back in the car and waited for him.
Oh wow, no shit. Well, we're gonna start calling you Happy Ending Frank. That's great.
That's fine. I've been
Happy
called worse.
Ending Frank.
I've been called worse.
Worldwide Sneaker Heel, another beautiful woman. Hey, Jeff, so happy to catch you live. I haven't in a while. Thank you, Worldwide. Good to see you, love. It's been a while. Hope all is well. Shout out to the
Probably an 18-year-old Nigerian grad student.
See, that one's right up your alley, Jeff.
Yeah,
Yes, she was.
Yeah.
You had a date last night. You were telling me, Jeff. How was she? Good date?
Yeah, well, it's more of a friend. I mean, I haven't seen her in a while. She's someone that doesn't come out much, so it was nice. I had a couple of friends out, a couple of kids I haven't seen in a while.
I can't believe how many people don't scrape their tongue.
You do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't either. I think it's insane. Gunsmoke made it sound like it was like completely ridiculous. Like, let me ask the chat, Frank, do you tongue scrape?
What the fuck is that?
Okay, he doesn't. Do people in the chat scrape their tongue? Wow, Howie, I'm so glad to hear you do. Glad to hear it.
What is that, Hal?
Okay, so let me explain. There's a device you can buy, and dentists will recommend it. Any dentist you go to will tell you. Bad breath is generally caused from your tongue. You have stuff on your tongue from like eating and stuff, and it builds up. And there's a device you can buy. It's like $3-4. It's essentially stainless steel, and you don't scrape it. You just kind of pull the liquidy stuff off it, and it makes your breath much better. Like it's something that I do. I obviously Howie does. Some people don't even know.
I'm gonna have to check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, you get a lot of bacteria in those little grooves of the tongue.
I'm telling you, go in your bathroom and look at your tongue. You'll see like it's like color. There's different colors. You pull it off. It will.
If it's white, that's all fucking bacteria.
Yeah, and that's what causes bad breath. Like you can tell when someone doesn't do it.
Yeah, I hate fucking bad. Anybody with bad breath, I fucking tell them I don't give a shit.
Flossing and like it's more than just brushing your teeth. Like flossing, obviously,
is big too. Yeah.
Yeah, like flossing and tongue scraping is done really like wonders.
Yeah, flossing is important, but I would say scraping your tongue is more important than flossing.
Yeah, I do it every day, a few times even. Yeah, but John, I understand that long sentences come with drug dealing, but so does murder. The mafia does that, yet they cut it off at drug dealing. I don't know. Just never understood that. I mean, but Frank knows. I mean, you look at the Gambino Crime Family. I mean, those Sicilians and bananas, they didn't care about that. They were selling, a lot.
Yeah, I think it's a facade. I mean, as far as like old timers wanting people to think this thing is about, back in the day, they wanted them to think about this thing as something that morally can be correct, and by selling drugs, it was an anarchistic thing. The mob, like don't go to the law, don't go to us if there's a problem to deal with. But now when you're dealing fucking drugs, you just become an average.
My opinion on it is that before RICO and all of the technology they have today, it was really, really, really hard to prove a murder. But it was easier to prove drug dealing because you had to deal with a lot of people.
That's true. That's true.
Listen, and when the drugs were being funneled out of Sicily, whatever, processed, whatever, they didn't think it was going to be a Sicilian problem. They didn't give a fuck. They were just funneling it to the world. They thought they were giving it to the minorities up and the rest of it in the United States, until it became a problem in Sicily. But I mean,
they feel if they don't do it, someone else is going to do it.
I'm telling you guys, all of you folks in here, I get you scrub your tongue with the toothbrush. The scraper will do significantly better work. I promise. Try it and come back and tell me I was right.
There you go. You heard it here. The scraper. Are you trying to get these people to freaking get you to advertise them there?
Another thing and this is for all the men out there. You know, another piece of advice. I've been doing this for as long as I can remember. And this is going to get a little graphic, but it's important you remember this. When you get out of the shower, every man should own a blow dryer, and I'm going to tell you why. Do you know why you have certain issues down there? Sometimes you gotta dry your stuff off, not just with a towel either. Blow dry it. Make sure it's nice and dry. It'll do wonders for you.
Well, I don't know what issues you're talking about, but I've never had any issues down there.
Blow dry your nuts.
Oh, hey.
No, I've never blow dried them.
If you got salty nuts, blow dry them.
I'm telling you, I'm trying to give you all game. Why do you think I have such luck with women? I know what I'm doing.
You are younger than me, so he's probably good tips right here.
Do you shave your asshole?
No.
What the fuck?
That I don't do.
Shave your asshole.
What's up, Jeremy Augusta? Thank you for watching. By the way, our friend Eric Foss is here. I don't know if you guys know Eric Foss. Good man right here, Eric Foss. Did a lot of time in prison. Not a mob guy, but definitely was around a lot of them.
That's a good thing.
Yes, Eric's a good guy. Everybody go follow Eric. He's building his channel. He's done a good job. He's really knows the ins and outs of federal prison really well.
Welcome, Eric.
Eric, by the way, Frank, Eric was the guy that was close with Tony Aiello inside.
Oh, the dad, though, right?
Yeah, the father, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I knew him until I was 14, and then that was it.
And that's how I knew he knew what he was talking about, because you texted me. You said, wow, everything he's saying about Tony's properties and all this stuff is...
Yeah, it's very accurate. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
About the forfeiture laws, especially. He goes on the lam right about like 6 months before the forfeiture laws come in effect. He gets caught a year after, and then within that 6 months frame, he loses almost everything.
Yeah, that's a shame. But again,
he was a nice guy, and a lot of people didn't like his ways, but I mean, he was nice. We were close. We were like family in a lot of ways. Like me and Anthony have the same godparent, which happens to be a cousin of mine who passed away, Joe Pizzo. They were really close. He was a Monado guy as well. Anthony's dad, Tony, and my first cousin, who happened to be my godfather as well.
You lived like right next door to Ace, didn't you?
We lived 3 houses away. So I lived on 6348, and I believe he lived on 6342.
Okay. So yeah, right
so that's
there.
3 houses away. Anthony, his brother Vito, lovable guy. You remember Vito, right, Howie?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I used to take Anthony Ace. I used to take him with me to go out drinking sometimes when he was younger.
Yeah, he's a good kid. He was just, you know, you get into that world. Me, Howie, everybody. Obviously, he held his mud. Good for him. I mean, but you get impressionable by these people, and that's what happened with him. You know.
Frank, can I ask you to comment on a photo?
Hold on. If I want to, yeah, go ahead. Oh, that's when I was Irish.
Oh, no, that's that Polish guy from Ridgewood.
You do look like a Russian guy.
Russian, yeah, Ruski.
You do look like a Vladimir or something.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I got it all my life. I don't have the traditional
do you miss
Italian
it?
look.
Your hair? You miss it?
Not really. Look at it. I'm doing okay.
Honestly, your
How about this hair?
like,
Look at this hair.
Forget about the hair. Look at fucking everything else.
That FBI agent behind it was the guy who arrested me too.
Oh, really?
Yes.
By the way, I saw was Jim Walden, were you involved with him, Frank?
No, I was involved with Andre. So what happened with the Giannini crew indictments?
Jim Walden did Bath Avenue as well.
Yeah, he was. And Andres took over from where he left off. And I fell into the Bonanno indictment. I didn't fall into that indictment, and I was kind of surprised. But that's what happened.
So you were surprised when you weren't named in that indictment in the 90s?
Yeah, of course. Fucking, I mean, I was put in an indictment with all these fucking guys and just hit hard. I got superseded 3 different occasions. Yeah. But at the same time, I thought I was getting lucky because, you know, all the kids I grew up with were getting locked up. You got to remember while these banks were being robbed, I was on the lam for a murder. So I wasn't. I don't know. I thought I just got lucky for some fucking reason, and then I got picked up, and I looked at my indictment, and I didn't know at least. Well, personally, I've seen them around. I didn't know these guys on a criminal level. Maybe shit, half of the people in my indictment. Me, 3/4. How about that? You know.
Did you feel left out?
No, I wanted to feel left. Well, did I feel left out with the? Yeah, you know what was going on in my head? I was like, I hope these fucking people didn't think I flipped or something like that. But everyone got arrested except me. So I'm in a coffee shop hanging out with Howie for about 2 years.
All right, I'm about to put this photo up. Howie just sent me, and I'd never seen this before. Hold on a second.
Sure.
MIC Chrysler says Yugoslavian refugee boy.
Hey, a lot of people been using Google Boy.
Who's Google Boy?
Parasite Slayer. Google
Let's not
Boy.
bring that dumbass up.
Fucking mutt.
Yeah, he's another jerk off. Hold on, let me throw this photo up. It's kind of blurry, but it's pretty cool, actually. This is the photo Howie was talking about that the FBI agent stumbled across in the park. Hold on a second. So obviously, Alphonse is going to be on the right.
Yeah.
Bobby's in the blue, and Corozzo's in the gray or white, whatever that is. Bobby looks like he's upset for some reason.
But you see how JoJo is. See, Al wasn't a part of that conversation.
Yeah, he's just like kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, Howie. We've seen like Dominic Sicali. He wore like kind of like certain types of clothes and stuff. Did you ever wear something and Corozzo's like, "What the fuck you wearing? Why are you wearing that?" Because you're younger than him, like sniffly.
No, I didn't dress like them. I wore sweatsuits, but you know, I wasn't into like Jordan or you know, like the generation younger than me. They were into all of that. You know, the sneakers and the.
Yeah. Did you know Hootie?
Yeah, I know Hootie since he's about fucking 10 years old.
All right. Jimmy Lose, I'm new to this genre. I've seen these guys on a guy called Gunsmoke's channel. Good to see you landed an interview too. Well, we've all, we spoke to these guys in the past. I mean, we all kind of are friends. I've had Frank on. I had, Howie on. It's always nice.
Me and Frank both have interviews on here if you guys want to check them out.
Yeah, I'll post them on my community tab. It's crazy how quick time flies. I mean, it feels like I interviewed you like recently. It was almost 2 years ago, almost. So Frank, how was your trip here?
It was nice. I really liked it. I liked the area and all that. But I got to be reminded how cold it gets fucking in Pennsylvania. It's cold, But it was really nice. It's very scenic. It's beautiful.
Nice.
Huh?
It's been pretty nice, like at night.
Yeah. It was nice. It was really nice. But yeah.
Yeah, Rich M. I've talked to people that have seen him in Brooklyn. He walks with like a cane and like he's pretty old. So
I remember when I was younger and I used to ride my motorcycle. There was a strip by Victory Field where there was nothing but trees on both sides of the road, and you'd literally like make a right turn off of Woodhaven Boulevard and drive down that block, and the temperature would drop by like 10 degrees because of all the trees.
Yeah. That's interesting. Does Frank know Carlo, the Sicilian guy that was really close with Tony and Ace?
I knew one Carlo, but Yeah, he got shit. Yeah, I know a caller got arrested back in the day from the neighborhood. If that's the same one, that's the only one. He was picked up on a drug case. He had black hair, probably turned gray too at one time. A little heavy, but that was
pretty
long
common
time
name.
ago. It wasn't really that common, but if it's somebody they knew, probably that's who I was thinking about.
Common sense. What's going on, man? Football as well.
Common sense. What's up, buddy?
Common sense. Hey, what's up, Common? What are you doing, buddy?
Don't be bashful, guys. If anybody needs to jump off, just let me know. I usually don't do like marathon streams, but fuck it.
Frank and hell.
Back to the West Coast.
Legitimate, Pete. Legitimate guys.
Frank hangs out with like MMA people from certain crime families, don't you, Frank?
What do you mean, back in the day?
No, remember in that certain place you live?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a fact.
I usually try to surround myself with women,
but you know, when I lived down south, it was mostly military, and in the West Coast, it's a lot of these guys, these MMA guys. There's a very popular gym in the neighborhood I live in.
M Coop, drop them, bro. Whatever you got. Yeah, Frank, it's funny. I actually talked to somebody in that city. I may get him on my show here soon.
Is he a little black guy?
No, he was pretty high up in that family.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Hey, Forza, yeah, I could cook a little bit. How about you, Frank?
I could cook, yeah, definitely. I went to culinary school. That's one of the first things I did when I got out of prison.
Oh, really? I never knew that.
Shit.
Oh, yeah.
I never knew that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Jose? How are you?
I remember we used to slice the garlic with razor blades in Fort Dix.
Yeah, right.
That's what
I heard you got some girl named Apollonia.
Frank, I'm not bullshitting you.
You are.
Take the razor.
That's some Goodfellas, dude.
Break the fucking razor and slice the fuck. No, listen, it's
and
from Goodfellas, but Goodfellas.
And then Karen used to come see Henry and get pissed.
Goodfellas they had to get that idea.
They got that from you.
No, they got it from prison because that's what they did.
Yeah.
And Fort Dix was a low, it wasn't maximum security, so.
I'll answer this. I have the Celtics. I actually bet them several months ago. As far as Euro 2024, I bet France. France has the best lineup. France's lineup is unbelievable. I'll go France. I mean, I feel like as far as cooking with guys like yourself, I mean, I feel like all guys in that life know how to cook at some level, right?
Yeah, it's not that difficult.
Nab Costello asked, yes, I did know them both, nephew and uncle.
And you get to cook it the way you like it when you cook it yourself.
Right, 100%.
I know Jeff's a good cook.
No, I don't cook much of anything, to be fair.
No?
No. I eat pretty plain, man. I have to keep my weight down.
Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah.
I eat a lot of the same shit, man.
Well, you used to eat like you were going to the chair. What the fuck?
Oh, my God. If I told you when I was 350 pounds, if I told you what I was eating on a regular basis, you wouldn't believe me.
I believe you.
Keep that shit down, I mean.
No, I would never go back to that. I mean, that was rough, man. A waste of my life. 5-6 years of my life doing that.
You look good, you feel good.
100%. 100%. Way more confidence. But
you go
by the way, Eric Foss wants to jump on. Do you guys care? He has a question for you, Frank.
No, not at all.
No, I don't mind.
All right, cool. I'm gonna stay on to about 12:15, guys.
He's gonna verify the razor blade story. You watch.
We'll see. Eric, there's the link. I'm gonna hang on to around 12:15. We'll stay on for about another half hour, maybe.
Sure.
This will be the longest show I've done. Well, other than Sammy, the Sammy interview was about 2 hours. So we're in rarefied air here. guys. You might come on the same amount of time that I had Sammy on for.
Oh, please. I don't want to have that distinction.
Did you guys ever serve time at a USP? I'll answer that. No, I don't believe they have. I know Eric Foss did. Eric Foss was at Big Sam.
Yeah, he did a lot of. I liked his interview especially. I listened to most of all your interviews. I liked them. Hey, what's up, Michael McDonald? What's up?
Yeah, penitentiaries are different.
Baltimore in the house.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I've heard.
You're behind the wall.
Sure, war stories, man, from there for sure. All right, let's see what Eric has to say. What's up,
Hey,
Eric?
Hey, what's up, Jeff, Frank, and Howie?
How are you, Eric?
Hey,
What's up,
Frank,
bud?
the guy Carlo I'm talking about, he was he's Sicilian. He's probably like 54 years old. He's up Allenwood, and
Oh, he's only 54. No, I don't know him. I was thinking somebody a little bit older.
yeah. See, one thing, and let me say one thing. I've ran across a lot of different people, right? But one thing I can always say about the guys who was always like the banana type guys or whatever, you know what I mean? Not, you know what I mean? One thing about them, man, you guys have always like kept it real, man. Like they always kept it real. Like, you know how sometimes, like I even heard Frank comment earlier. Sometimes like a lot of dudes, they like hate on each other and backbite and stuff like that. But with them, man, they keep it real. When I was in Allenwood, I used to get the New York Post. So, you know, everybody, you know how they'll come a whole bunch at a time, and sometimes you don't get none for weeks. So, you know, we'd all share newspapers and stuff like that. That's how I met Carlo, because somebody told him, Kojak, I think, told him that I used to be Tony Selly or whatever. So he actually came down and he's like, man, you're E? I was like, yeah, why? So I'm like, what the hell is this guy? You know what I mean? And he's like, listen, he's like, I heard about you, you know, and, you know, because me and Tony were tight or whatever. And, you know, we've been in situations and everything like that. So like Tony was like, you know what I mean? They kept it real. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Yeah.
that's one thing you do.
I mean, Tony was a legend in my neighborhood when we were growing up. He was legendary for his money-making skills, you know?
Oh my God, man. Listen, we call him the octopus. He's got tentacles and everything. And everything.
Can you verify Howie's story, Eric, that supposedly the Goodfellas story came from people in prison that were actually doing that garlic thing?
Oh, well, you got to remember, look, federal prison changes like every so many years. Like that was back.
I'm talking about a low. Fort Dix is a low.
Well, yeah, my buddy just came home from Fort Dix. It's wide open. That place is wide open. Like, what I mean by that is like nothing would surprise me going on there. You know, they got dudes getting just for men in there to dye their beard to go on visits. That's how easy it is to do things in there.
It's New Jersey.
No
I mean,
shit.
you know, of course.
Yeah, but yeah. So, but from my experience, like when you know the higher securities and stuff like that, man, it's went to shit. You know what I mean? It's worse than the state now. Like people feeding you and everything like that. But yeah, yeah, Fort Dix, man, that's wide open. Some of these places are, you know what I mean? I mean, there's some camps and stuff like that. Dudes are sending pictures there in mink coats, everything like that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, anything.
Frank, where did you serve time at?
I did like almost 2.5 years of freaking MDC, you know, a pretrial.
Right.
And then I flipped. Then I did some time in Jersey, in a couple of these counties.
You were in there with Joe Messina, weren't you?
Well, yeah, pretrial I was. He was my co-defendant. We used to have co-defendant meetings and everything.
Yeah, MDC, right.
Yeah, MDC. You guys got 2 MDCs, right? Brooklyn and somewhere else?
Well, the one closed.
MCC, that's the one in Manhattan, Southern District and Eastern District. Eastern is covers mostly Staten Island and Queens, and Southern covers Manhattan, the Bronx, and what else?
Didn't it close though, Frank?
What's that? The MCC or MDC?
MCC, didn't it?
I think it's still there.
I'm pretty sure it closed. I think one of them closed.
Epstein was at.
Yeah, I could have sworn I heard that.
Jeff, do you know anybody that's in Fort Dix?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I talked to. I don't want to put his name out there. NYC Crime Center knows who he is.
Well, I'm just saying. Ask him if he's ever seen anybody slice garlic with the razor.
Well, I'll tell you this, Howie. He does. This guy that I'm talking about does Instagram lives all the time from Fort Dix. It looks like super wide open, like as Eric was saying.
Yeah, it's definitely wide open.
Like
Definitely.
it's like dorms. Like he was like showing around. It's like dorms and like
It's like 2,000 people on each side. There's an
Yeah.
east and a west.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's a
Yeah,
low,
it's
right?
the old military barracks. So it's like the best way to describe it is like you're living in the projects, because every building has got like 300 inmates in it,
yeah.
and you go visit your friends at the other building, you know, and hang out in front of his building, or you just go for a walk around the compound, and that's
Well,
what it
Vito's
looks
in,
like.
or not Vito. Ace is in Vortex right now.
Yeah, Ace is in Fort Dix right now. My co-defendant off one of my cases just came home April 1st or whatever. He was in there with Ace. He was they used to work out and shit together.
They
I
got a
wonder if
bocce
watch
ball
these
court
shows.
there.
Probably at Fort Dix. When I was at Gilmer, they had a bocce ball court there. Then that was a medium.
Yeah, Fort
You know,
Dix got a nice bocce ball court with a track surrounding it.
Yeah, and they still got weights and stuff like that there.
Yeah.
It's see here's how that'll happen. Like a lot of times with the older joints, and that's even with state joints too. There's already a precedent set where if inmates are basically having their way running it, basically the inmates are running it. It kind of like always stays like that. And the new ones that they build, they try to always make sure that the COs are total control, so it stays like that. You know what I mean? So
I
a lot
got
of times your older joints will be wide open like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
but
yeah.
ain't broke, don't fix it, you know.
You
Yeah.
spent I believe it was like after 3:00 it was open compound in Fort Dix. I mean, that's why you always see them people tanned up in their pictures. You're basically in the summertime hanging out outside all the time in the sun. I mean, guys would take off their shirts, play bocce. Everyone looked like a Hollywood superstar. They're all tanned up and buff, you know, from working out.
Yeah, but there's
Eric. You were in there pretty recently. This guy will like sit on Instagram Live for like hours on end and just like talk to people.
Well,
like there's no COs ever walk in there. Like
I think it's something they got one that my buddy was telling me I think they got one CO that works in the unit or whatever, but they got a window and they'll pay people, like they'll pay the Mexicans or something like that to watch the window if the other COs are coming for a shakedown. They, you know, so everybody can run and hide the phones and all that shit. So it's like, you know, it's wide open, man. It's just wide open. You know.
Howie, did you serve any time?
I was just told you I was in Fort Dix.
Oh, yeah.
I got 33 months in the feds.
Were you anywhere else?
Huh?
Were you anywhere else or?
Otisville camp towards the end, right next to the medium.
Did you guys know
in the 90s? Remember how?
Huh?
Didn't you do a year in the 90s?
Oh yeah, I was in Rikers Island. I got a bullet in '93. I got a 1.5 to 3 in the state. I did a bunch of skid bits.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Eric?
Did either one of you guys know Jimmy Coonan?
No. I know who Jimmy Coonan is, but I don't know. I never met him.
Yeah, I never met him either. I mean, I know who he is, but I never met him.
Yeah, he was on the same tier as me and Tony.
I've always heard good things about him.
How's Tony doing? Is he in good shape still?
Man, look, Tony was in excellent shape, man. He was strong, you know what I mean? Everything like that worked out and all. And when we were cellies, he went to have some simple operation, like, you know, for blockage or whatever when he pisses. They screwed Tony up so bad on that operation, man. And like it's just a shame. They need to let that man out. Now, obviously, Frank, you know Tony. Tony's like, and this is how the type of guy Tony is, Jeff. Tony's like super, super tough. Like, in other words, he's not going to get in a wheelchair. He's not going to complain. He's not. He's just that type. He's that type of guy. And you know what I mean?
I don't understand, and this doesn't make sense to me about this whole test center and testing getting out. Tony Aiello was convicted before that date as well. Why isn't he eligible for parole? I don't understand.
Okay, so
life without parole. He's got life without parole.
Yeah, but they gave him 200 years when 200 years was 200 years. No, life. When he got convicted of life was life. It was 15 years. But how their loophole, the government's loophole, was they gave you years instead.
Okay.
Okay, so it was 15 years with the old law. Life was 15 years. So they start. That's why you see all those dinosaur years
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that they do like 200 years. He has to do 50% of that.
Right.
I mean,
But
I
that's
know
just
it's
insane that those guys gave, like, they got out on parole for killing people.
Yeah, I
He didn't.
know.
That's just insane.
And not
Yeah,
only that, I
it's
mean, the
nuts to
guy.
me.
I don't think he had any violence on him.
No.
Right. Like, that wouldn't the First Step Act, like, wouldn't he be like a perfect person for that?
But it doesn't
Yeah.
apply to him.
Yeah, that's wild.
You know, that's the crazy part, and especially after how they screwed him up, how long he's been locked up. I mean, come on, how old he is. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And I've seen they denied him.
It really is. It really is.
Well, I heard
And
a story recently that like Vic Arena, like he doesn't even, like, he says he's the president of the United States. Like, he's completely like nuts.
Well, and the president of the United States says he's Vic Arena, so it's even.
But like, they won't release him, and it's like he, again, like Eric said, they're not like prison. Look at what they did to John Gotti. I mean, John Gotti had cancer, like, and chained to a bed. They wouldn't give him any care. My dad had cancer. I couldn't imagine him being chained to a bed, and you got to get a lot of, the cancer's costly. You got to get a lot of care. They do nothing for people in prison.
Yeah, it doesn't. It really doesn't make sense. And like, especially a situation like Tony's situation. I mean, he don't got no bodies on his case, none of that kind of shit.
Yeah.
It just
Right.
and Frank, you remember he was offered a plea deal where he would have been home years ago, but he didn't want to lose all his shit, and that's why he went to trial.
I know a lot of guys like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Remember,
mean,
Carneglia mentioned that. He said, if I'd have taken a plea, I'd have got 18 years or whatever.
yeah,
They regret it after the fact. But hey, let me ask you guys, did you guys hear that? Now, obviously, him going to prison is super unlikely, but Donald Trump, right? If he goes to prison, did you guys know that the Secret Service will also be in prison?
Yeah, they have to be.
And they'll guard his cell, and the COs will guard them.
Yeah,
like that's crazy.
Only in America, baby.
If you notice, a few weeks ago or like a month ago, remember Joe Biden was trying to get that his Secret Service protection lifted.
I don't remember hearing about that.
Yeah, he was. It didn't work.
Joe Biden's ruthless with that. He's like, I know he's going to jail. I'm going to fucking get that lifted. So he's really doing time.
Yeah, it's crazy. I look, one thing about it I don't like to see is when they take a whole different system, like the political system, put it over in the judicial system. It's just like everything's screwed.
Hey, that's a good point. DL says Tony needs to hire Chad Marks. That he should look into his case. That's a good point, actually. Chad's got all sorts of.
It's crazy. That whole case is crazy.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, it's
Tony. His wife and my mom.
Huh?
You asleep?
No.
I didn't know if you were asleep or not.
His wife passed away a couple of years back, and his wife and my mom were very, very close.
Yeah. I remember.
She's a good lady. Been through a lot.
Back in the day when all that shit happened, they found like close to $1 million in his father's house.
His dad Vito. His father's name was Vito. I remember the old man. Yeah, they found $800,000, and they kept the dad.
Didn't they try to indict him for that?
Huh?
Didn't they indict him?
They did.
Yeah, they kept the old man in jail. Fucking the guy was like 80 years old. They kept him in poor guy in jail. I bet he didn't even know he had that money in the safe, And until his son would give him himself up, some ruthless shit, man. That fucking Giuliani. I mean, what the fuck, bro? It was really some ruthless shit. The old
Didn't
man
his wife go to prison as well?
Nah, I think like overnight. His sister did though. His sister, Tony's sister, Tony's brother-in-law. They went to prison, yeah, but not the wife. I think the wife went in for a minute and then she came out. They lost a lot, man. Poor Anthony, if his father was around, probably would not be in the situation he is today.
Eric, do you think these mob guys, they watched YouTube?
I know for a fact they watch your channel.
Really?
There you go.
I know for a fact, and they like it.
They're all watching it. They want to see what, like if they know you, they want to see what you got to say. And
Let me
they're
ask
all
you
watching.
guys, because I've always been curious about this. Let's just say, knock on wood. Let's say
Hit the like button, Alphonse.
Exactly. let's say I'm arrested for a federal crime. I went to federal prison. Do you think I'd have problems there for the shit that I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Well, it would
if you said something bad, like
he hasn't.
But I don't really. I never lie
somebody
about it.
just don't. They might be something embarrassing to someone. It might not be you're saying something bad, but maybe they just don't want everybody to know that.
But I mean, I wouldn't be. I mean, to be fair, I don't think I would be put in like. I mean, I'd probably be put in.
People are very critical, dude. Let me tell you something.
They send the Secret Service in there with you.
They regard not. Don't take this the wrong way, but they look at reporters as rats. Okay.
Sure.
They do. They just do it because they want to be. It's not like, oh, he's just a reporter. Leave him alone.
Oh,
in the old days, you shouldn't be talking about. But it's not the old days almost. So,
right.
But you shouldn't be talking about the mob.
But in there's a lot of old guys that do believe.
Let me say something real quick. I understand what he's saying, and yeah, on the surface it's that. But I'll tell you what. I remember when I was in there, and that guy had that newsletter, the Jerry Capisci called Gangland or whatever.
Oh yeah.
They would sit down and say, cuss it out and everything, but then they would all go exchange it with each other.
Yes.
And hoping they're in there.
Yeah. Frank told me a story that. Frank, didn't you tell me Jackie DeRoss?
He waited for that shit religiously.
And what did he say? Was he like,
Valley Boy would be like, look at this fucking guy. This guy, why does he even want to read this fucking bullshit? He would get sick. But a lot of guys would wait for it. Eric's absolutely right on that.
All subject, does anyone know what happened to Mooney Dashcam? He just stopped doing content. I think he just got tired of it and started doing other shit. He was a good
guy.
creator.
Hey, I'm gonna hop off. All right, guys.
All right, Eric.
Thanks. All right, Eric. Nice meeting you, buddy.
All right.
See you, bro. Yeah, we'll stay on for a couple of more minutes.
I think that guy Mooney Dash was just doing what he was doing as a hobby, and he was going to school in the meantime.
Yeah. I think I'd talked to him a few times, and I think he had just kind of grown tired, I think, of some of the comments and all the shit he had to deal with. And I think he just kind of decided to do something else. But he was a good guy. He did some good stuff.
Hey, we missed so many questions. If anybody wants to email me and ask me a question, my email is howiecw1@gmail.com.
Yeah, I'll put it. I'll throw it in. By the way, Joey Dutton, congrats on 75K. Thank you, bro. Yeah, it's been a wild ride for sure. What's your email, Howie?
howiecw1@gmail.com.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride. I never thought I would get to 75, but let's hope to get to 100. That's the goal. I want to get that plaque. So that's the
What's Eric Scholl's name? I got to check it out.
Yeah, I'll throw the link in the chat. Hold on 1 second here.
Yeah, Jeff. Every prison is different. Like you can be in one prison, and it'd be great, and then like 3 years down the road, the whole fucking everybody changed inside, and it could be fucking terrible because if you got a bunch of assholes somewhere, then it's gonna suck. But if you got good guys there, then it's gonna be a good time.
For sure. Thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate that, my man.
Plus the different security levels, I mean, we had stingers in Fort Dix. They'd come around, do a shakedown, and sometimes they wouldn't even take the stinger.
Oh, really?
Or they take it and give it back to you later.
Right. Mike Hawkslong, that's a funny name, says, did you ever see a video from a guy, convict's perspective? He did a video how in San Jose the Italians are working with the NorCal Mexicans in Jose. Yeah, there was actually a guy, he's called JC. He used to work with them.
Yeah, he runs that town.
I'm only kidding, JC. I have no issue with JC. I know some guys don't like him on here. He's always been all right to me.
I like him too. Listen, I like him too. I'm just busting balls.
I think it's important to remember. I mean, there are
I just don't like what he said about common sense. That's it.
Yeah, there are a lot of
I didn't
people
know
in
he
here
said
that have.
something about common sense.
There are a lot of people in here that have certain beefs with certain people. I at least, as much as people say I don't, I try to maintain a good relationship with pretty much everybody on here. And I know that,
Right. No,
you know,
I
like
get it.
JC doesn't like this person or FBS is like, I just try to, there are certain people that I'm cool with. And there are some commenters. I think the commenters sometimes can be real jerks. Some of the kids on here, they get a little too,
Sure.
you know, comfortable. But yeah, I try to be nice to everybody. But I'm just messing with JC.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Jeff, do you get your insurance from Aflac?
No, I don't have Aflac. No.
Okay.
Hellfire Paintball. Why'd you ask that? That's weird. Shout out from Australia.
He skipped the conversation altogether. You didn't get what he was doing?
No, I don't.
Never mind.
I don't. By the way, there's someone from Australia watching. G'day, mate. Shout out to you. Thank you for watching. It's amazing that people can watch this. I'm in Pennsylvania, and someone in Australia. It's already the next day, and what is it? Evening already, probably for the next day. Shout out to Australia. Did Frank or Howie ever have gumadas? Well, I don't believe Frank was ever married, so we couldn't have.
No, so that don't count.
Yeah, Howie, I had. Yeah.
You had a gumada? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, many of them. You know, I don't mean like. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you know, at different times, like, you know, every time you start seeing another lady and you're married, she's a guma.
Right. Sure. Did you guys ever meet Nikki Scarf? I don't think they met Nikki. Nikki was off. Nikki went to prison in the late 80s. So, I mean, that's pretty good amount of time. I mean, Howie only got into the life in the mid-ish 80s. All right, guys. We'll look to wrap it up. But what were you saying, Howie?
No, I mean, I was around it. I just didn't really start,
Yeah.
I started working in the card games like 1984-ish, like around that time, 83.
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about. What are you talking about? I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm missing the joke. I don't know.
That guy that you're beefing with, he says,
that dumbass.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. By the way, I'm not beefing with him. I just don't like the kid. I think he's a fucking jerk.
What were you at the card game on Monday night? And then, it was always a card game on Monday night before it was like September 10th.
You're talking about
September 11th, because the next day that I was at that card game and I fell asleep.
Oh yeah, maybe I might have had the game.
It was the card game on every Monday.
With Big Head. With Big Head, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the day before September 11th.
Yeah, we had the card game there at Bobby's Cafe. Yeah.
All right, one more question.
Once or twice a week.
What are Frank and Howie's opinion on the Sopranos? And did they ever meet Tony Sirico?
No, I never met that guy. My opinion of the Sopranos, I mean, it was entertaining.
Definitely liked it.
It was funny.
Was it realistic?
A little cartoonish, like the characters.
Sometimes.
Like Silvio and that Tony Sirico were a little too cartoonish for me.
Yeah, see, that is one thing in like rewatches of the show. I do think that like some of the characters were a little like corny, like as far as the way they acted.
Yeah.
Like it was a little too much, like the way they dressed. Like it was just, I think they went a little too hard with that. But
even the women were a little Saturday Night Live-ish,
Yeah. That's interesting.
Coffee time. Remember that?
Like some things that they did on the show I could relate to, but then there was other things that were just silly, and like Frankie said, like some of those characters were ridiculous. They make
they were a little too much. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
My favorite character, really, really good character they did well, was that Richie Aprile.
Oh yeah, he's one of my favorites. Yeah. I love his character. Very funny. He was one of my favorite Soprano villains. Ralphie was a little over the top, but he did kind of remind me of people I know. Right.
Like when I first saw Tony Soprano, and I was like, who the fuck? Why did they pick this guy? Because of his voice and everything. Mm-hmm. Got like a little fucking lisp. But then he turned out to be all right. I guess you get used to him.
He was pretty good. Yeah, he was pretty good. But like the Ralphie character reminded me of an older version of Anthony Tabita, who we both knew.
Really?
Ralphie?
Yes.
Why is that?
He had that fucking devilish kidding around all the time, but fucking, the kind of like to fuck around a lot, but also at the same time could be serious also.
Interesting.
But I don't know who's the guy Ralphie. I
The guy with
watched
the
it,
red
but I
hair,
only
remember,
watched it once.
with the ends up dating Janice. He burns Tony's horse.
And then Tony whacks him in his kitchen.
Oh, and he had a guy with him that reminds you of Tabita?
No, that guy reminded me of an older version of Anthony. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't know who the guy is.
Yeah, you might not remember.
He gets killed off on the show.
Yeah, Tony killed him.
Yeah, I've only watched The Sopranos once, so it's like some of it is vague to me.
I remember they used to put Sopranos on A&E. It would be on like during the day. Like I remember.
Really?
Yeah, like this was probably like in the 2000, late 2000s. I remember.
Yeah, The Sopranos was like YouTube. Nobody watched it.
Yeah, and then I mean I watched.
I'm talking about older street guys. Nobody would admit that they were watching The Sopranos.
Okay.
Yeah, just like YouTube. Nobody watches YouTube. They only get clips.
Yeah, not in the beginning.
Shit, I remember I was 10 years old watching The Sopranos. All right, guys.
David Proval was the actor's name, the Richie Aprile. He's an acting teacher as well.
He was in Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, he's an acting teacher. That's a very good actor.
Well, I used to hang out with that kid Richie Blue Eyes. The kid he had a role in The Sopranos.
You're talking about Richard. I know you're talking about. They said he was a Gambino associate, but I never found any.
Yeah. He used to hang out with me back in the day. I remember.
Richard Muldoon, you mean?
Me and JoJo went to his house to eat dinner. He wanted to cook something for us.
You're talking about this guy, right? I'll show you. Hold on. 1 second. You're talking about this dude.
Yeah, we called him Richie Blue Eyes.
Yeah, he was Larry Boy's nephew.
Yeah, he was a good cook.
All right, guys. I'm gonna. We've been on here for about 2 hours and 15 minutes. Howie, you've been on pretty much the start. I gotta thank you for coming on. Frank, you've been on.
All right, guys. Yeah, I gotta be catch a plane in the morning. So have a good one, guys.
Yeah, good to see you, Frank. Talk to you soon, man.
All right, Frankie. Take care. All right,
and Howie, great to catch up with you. It's nice to have you answer some questions. Obviously, I dropped Howie's email. If anybody wants to contact him, has any questions for him, I'm sure we'll have you on again. It's always good to reminisce about the good old days, and I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, I enjoy it. There's just not enough time in one show to answer everyone's questions. I saw a lot of good questions, but obviously there's not enough time.
Before you know it, it's an hour or two. Real quick, I want to put this on the screen. Batcave claims Gotti Jr. made us think about people watching Sopranos in Raybrook. I've never heard about that. Wow. That surprises me. It doesn't surprise me. He seems like a guy that would be like, oh, we don't watch that kind of shit.
Listen, John may have been the acting boss of the Gambino family, but he wasn't the fucking boss of all 5 families.
Yeah. But that does sound like something he would do. Like, oh, we don't watch that kind of shit,
Yeah, he may say that he doesn't watch it, but he's not going to tell other people what to watch.
John Gotti Jr. always came across to me as a guy who's like the smartest guy in the room always. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, and the toughest guy.
Yeah. All right, Howie. Well, good to see
buddy.
you, man. Thanks for coming on, and I appreciate you, man. It means a lot.
All right, buddy. No worries. Anytime.
Yeah, talk soon. Thanks, buddy.
Right. Bye.
And that's that, guys. I really appreciate you all joining me here tonight. We had a lot of good people in the chat, a lot of good questions, just a lot of great participation. One of our longest shows we've done. Don't usually do shows this long, but we were having some good conversation. Thanks to Eric Foss for dropping by as well, talking a little bit about prison. And shout out to Frank and Howie for coming on and giving their opinion on some things. Had a couple of super chats. Wasn't a real busy night with that, but it's all good. It was a good stream, and I thank everybody for watching. I will have a new video out, and I have a good one coming out this week, guys, dropping on Tuesday. We are going to do our yearly video, the 2024 state of the mob. We're going to go through each city, talk about the people that are in control, what cities are defunct now, who's kind of running things now. I know this is always kind of a controversial video, but it's what makes this channel, I think, really good, is that we do those sorts of things. And I try to do this video once a year. So we're going to put that out here on Tuesday. So stay tuned to that. We're going to talk about Chicago. We're going to talk about Detroit. We're going to talk about Buffalo, all the different families. And I'm going to essentially tell you why I think there's about 8 or 9 families left, including the 5 families. So, and I'm going to also tell you why I think Chicago and Detroit are particularly strong. We don't talk enough about that. And that's in 2024. So make sure you check that out on Tuesday. I'll have that out at about 3 o'clock. And we'll put that out as a premiere, and we'll see it in the chat. I want to, again, shout out to everybody. So many good questions. A lot of good people in here tonight. It really means a lot. And, yeah, I'll talk to you all again real soon. See you all later. Bye-bye.